Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new Tuesday edition and new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Boomstick XL, and we have one heck of a show ready for you today. I think it's easily going to fill 90 minutes. We have a special guest making a reappearance back onto the show. And of course, the regular gang known as Zemi Games and Pong Soul. First of all, let's start with Zemi Games. Zemi, you are the cog that keeps this show running each and every week. And of course, the bravest man on the planet and someone that has already 100%ed Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, and now you're looking to cut down everyone that's not a good guy or a bad guy for that matter in Mass Effect 3. Are you a paragon or are you a good guy?
3 words: Mass Effect amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful.
Can we say addiction, like crack cocaine?
Yeah, no, it's for sure an addiction at this point. Like there's no stopping me. I really did try to like stop playing the game, like slow down on playing the game because I'm loving it so much. And
you
I
don't want it to
stop.
end, is what you're saying.
Well, I even tweeted about it. I was able to stop for 3 hours, but then I couldn't. Like I started, having the urges to load up the game and continue playing. It is an addiction. It is. I have a problem, Boom. I need help. Okay. But no, absolutely loving the game. I am a paragon. And I'm going through the galaxy doing good deeds. It bothers me whenever like that renegade pops up, because sometimes like the urge to like just punch a guy or pull out my gun, it just seems like very, very fitting for the moment. But I hold back those temptations, and I'm continuing to be a good character, a paragon in the Mass Effect universe. And I am on the 3rd game. I'm playing it 100%ing it like I did, the previous games. So I'm probably about 16 hours in, around there. I'm not really completely sure. But I'm absolutely loving it, man. But I'm excited to be here today talking about Xbox. We're leading up into E3, just a few more weeks, it seems like
18 days.
Yeah, we'll be there very, very shortly, and I can't wait to watch the showcases and see all the games that pop up. And it's exciting times for gamers, man.
Just out of curiosity, you were talking it in the prior to us going live. How many days do you have in Mass Effect in total?
4 days, 7 hours, and something minutes, I think.
That's a fan, folks. That is a fan. No doubt about that. And it's also potentially you may need some help, and I'll get that 1-800 save me from Mass Effect number.
I'm about to call you out. Did you order the Omni Blade? That you can pre-order the Omni Blade light up replica off the BioWare gear store yet, Boom?
I mean, is that even a question?
Have you purchased it?
Yes. Of course I've purchased it.
Okay. Thank God. All right. Thank you.
Okay, listen, you know what? I mean, I'm a fan. I didn't get the $20 coin. I missed out on that. That's, shame me being slow, but it's okay. Anyway, let's continue with the introductions. Pong Soul. This is the gentleman over here that not only has exploded on the scene, but he is a member of this show. He's a member of Mav Show on Friday night, and he's also one of the co-hosts for the Saturday morning show, which I listen to just about every Saturday while I'm making breakfast for Mrs. Boomstick. Pong, how the heck are you, bro?
Well, Boom, it's Tuesday. It is a fantastic day because I'm here with you guys. We have a fantastic guest in N64, Josh. And guess what? That rumbling you hear in the distance, a storm's brewing. Boom. And it's called E3. And it's just about Christmas time for all of us gamers. So, you know what? We're going to go to speculation town like we always do, Boom. But it's getting more and more interesting as we approach one of the greatest gaming shows on the face of the planet in E3. So I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we are going to have a lot to talk about, and it's great to have you. But welcoming back to the roundtable that we have here, N64 Josh, how the heck are you, brother? And what you been up to on your channel?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I feel like things have slowed down a bit for me as far as with content creation stuff, just with life.
That darn life always gets in the way.
It can. But we have started a weekly news show for the Xbox Now podcast that goes live at 8 a.m. on Wednesday mornings, 8 a.m.
Nice.
Pacific. And we're also just working on XboxNow.tv. And then I still have all my other shows going, the Nintendo Powercast and Press Pause and the Warzone show, all the other things. It's still happening. It just, I guess the thing that slowed down the most is my live streaming at the moment, but it'll be back soon.
Well, you know what? Obviously, E3's in 18 days, and I'm sure that everyone here is going to take a nice nap and rest recharge our batteries before the week, because that week is going to be crazy. On this channel specifically, I'm probably doing a live stream almost every day of the week. And I may even do one on that Saturday. I got to talk with Mrs. Boom, make sure we don't have anything planned. But yeah, folks, tune in to Double Barrel Gaming for E3 week. You're going to get the best coverage anywhere, and there's going to be a lot of live, strictly live content, reacting and talking about all of the biggest and greatest news that is expected. But obviously we're here to talk about Xbox, and I like relinquishing the command of the ship to people on this panel when they come up with a topic that not only is interesting but something that they find, and I want to give them full credit for. Zemi has done it before numerous times, and today I am going to hand over the ship known as the Boom Normandy over to a rookie sensation, Pong Soul, who's going to open up the show with something that is some questions about what Xbox is doing to not handle some of the situations that we're going to talk about. But Pong, why don't you take it away and let everyone know what I'm talking about?
Well, thank you so much, Boom. I appreciate it. I love taking over the ship from time to time. It's always a good time, and look at me. I am the captain now. Okay. So you know what?
Don't scratch the don't scratch
bow
the
down
normally,
to the great Pong. Everyone bow down. Bow down.
Thank you, Zimmy. Thank you very much. So anyways, what we were talking about, what kind of popped up yesterday, was interesting yesterday morning, and we got a little bit more clarity, and it indirectly kind of affects Microsoft and Xbox as far as, again, this is the Xbox Factor podcast, but we got a little bit more clarity yesterday, and it kind of appears that Xbox is kind of out of the woods on this one. But yesterday, for people who don't know, there was some tweeting going around yesterday. It started, personally, I saw first was Alex Donaldson, who is the assistant editor at VG247, had tweeted out, there's one major publisher where I don't know how they've done it, but probably the most comprehensive big event leak I've seen in years is currently happening behind the scenes. Not just info, assets, and footage. Madness. Just a countdown until someone releases this stuff now. And then Imran Khan had posted underneath there saying, I have to imagine they recorded the event and it got passed around the company internally without much caution. And then Alex Donaldson replied saying, seems so massively out of character for this company in particular, which is why it's so mad to me. I guess we'll see if anyone presses the button now. So as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, as we get closer to E3 and things kind of ramp up, there's always a bunch of leaks that happen. Rumors start flying, all this kind of stuff, right? And now that we're kind of in the digital age, I expect that since a lot of these presentations are going to be pre-made, already done, wrapped up with bows, ready to rock and roll come E3, that the chances for a leak like this are, increasing dramatically versus regular years where it's more, they've got their planning done, they got all that, but it's more live stage events, where they go out there and done it. Well, all this stuff's got to be recorded in advance for these kind of digital shows. So this risk definitely goes up. Now, I found this interesting. I tweeted out yesterday, especially with his comment about it being massively out of character for this company in particular. Well, you know what? That removes some companies from the equation. One of them being Xbox, because we know Xbox has had a leaky problem in the past, right? There's no doubt about that. We also know that companies like Ubisoft have been leaky as well. So it took a bunch of companies out of the running for what this could possibly be. And I had tweeted out that, possibly Sony or Square Enix as two companies that came to mind. Now, as soon as I tweeted that, I started thinking, I'm like, well, Sony just had the Last of Us 2 leak, which was a huge deal. So that kind of pulls them out of the running. Well, then I went back and I found a tweet. I saw a tweet from Special Ed, formerly Special Ed. He is now Special Nick, obviously co-founder of Xbox Era, and well-known, insider who has provided a lot of good information. And he even earlier that morning, 4:08 in the morning, had tweeted out the leaky ship is Square. So people grabbed a hold of that once people started seeing this tweet and started retweeting it, it was looking more and more likely that Square Enix was, in fact, the one that has had this information leaked. Now, we have not seen everything, right? We have not seen even a snippet really, other than what we found out yesterday, but we have not really seen what is going around behind the scenes, but it sounds like it's their full E3 show. Aside of me, a part of me, as that kid who always searched for his Christmas gifts and I always found mom's hiding spot. I like leaks. However, does it take away from the surprise? Yes. Do I feel awful for all the people who put hard work in that may have it ruined or spoiled before they can actually present it officially at E3? Yes. But for me, I kind of want to see it. I think it's only a matter of time at this point that it's out there. And we probably will see more of this. But what did come out yesterday and why I think that the Square Enix, angle is correct, Boom, is because we saw yesterday the story about the potential of an actual exclusive deal with PlayStation to create a game in conjunction with Team Ninja, a Souls-like game, Final Fantasy, right? It's set in the Final Fantasy universe. I believe it's called Final Fantasy Origin is the name that's being thrown out there right now. So what we see here indirectly, again, with Xbox is that Sony behind the scenes is still money bagging things, which we knew, money hatting things. We knew that was still going on, but now we're kind of getting an idea of where they are money hatting, and they've gone back to their old partners in Square. Now, like we were talking about before the show, Boom, Square is doing a fantastic job from a business standpoint of playing both sides right now. They are taking money hats from Sony. Obviously, we saw that with Final Fantasy VII Remake, and taking these exclusive deals with their old friends in Sony and getting money. But we've also seen them expand on the other side to Xbox, and they're taking deals from Xbox to go ahead and put some of their older titles into Game Pass. So from a business standpoint, you got to respect this. They're doing exactly what they need to do, to survive. They're taking money from both sides and they're working both sides. Now, this news, if true, and again, if the leak goes, if somebody does push the button and their full show or most of their show is released to the public before E3, we'll probably find out how deep this goes, on which side they're going to play the fence more, right? Which side they're going to favor more, because we'll probably get some idea if there is a deal for Game Pass, if we're going to see Final Fantasy VII Remake finally, or if that deal's been re-upped with Sony, which a lot of people believe it has been. We're going to find out more here. But on the surface, right, it seems like that once again, Square is giving the fruits of their labor to Sony first, and it looks like they're going to lock Xbox once more out in the cold with a new title that they're working on with Team Ninja called Final Fantasy Origin, a Souls-like style action RPG game. People are saying that it might be a little bit less, obviously a little easier, let's put it that way, than Souls, a little more forgiving. But at the same time, it's disappointing. Because of course there's a lot of people on the Xbox side that would love to see new Square Enix games come to Xbox. And this gives us a little glimpse that, hey, if you like Square Enix games, you like Final Fantasy titles, especially, you're definitely going to have to consider going and getting a PlayStation to play those games. Or you're going to have to be sitting on the sidelines for an unknown amount of time before we actually see them on the Xbox side. But, again, from my side of things, I'm disappointed, but at the same time, I can't wait to see what else Square Enix has, because who's to say that Phil and his team didn't drop off a big money bag themselves and got an exclusive from Square Enix too. It's not outside the realm of possibility. Square is all about taking the money. So, it leaves a little crack in the door, maybe some hope that something like that happens. So maybe we'll see it prior to. Again, the kid in me wants to see it released, leaked out. I'd like to see what else Square Enix has in the plans prior to E3, but the adult me says, nah, I don't want to see it, and I want to be surprised just like everybody else, and I want all the people that put the hard work in to not have it spoiled. So that's my story, Boom.
I mean, it's a good story, but the question that remains, that I want to get your opinion on, and we'll talk to the rest of the panel as well as the chat, is if this happens, and it's likely that it's going to happen, is this another miss for Microsoft? And I ask that because they have Final Fantasy VII. Now, I bought it on the PlayStation 4. I got the free upgrade for the PlayStation 5. So I'm playing it, right? I'm okay. When the next game that has the female the female lead, I don't remember what the name of it by Square Enix. I'm gonna buy that on the PlayStation because I'm not waiting 2 years to play that game. And when this game is announced and it's a Souls light game, because I'm not really that fond of. I mean, I like them. I'm just terrible at them. With the Souls games, I'll buy it for the PlayStation 5 because I'm not waiting 2 years. But my question really remains: is with everything Microsoft is doing right, is this something that they're doing wrong, Pong?
No, I don't think so. I think this is just old friends. I think this is Sony and Square, who have been partners for a very long time. I mean, it's still shocking to this day that, Sony hasn't put a ring on this a long time ago and tried to acquire Square Enix up to this point. So I think this is more just an old friendship, partnership that has been around for a long time. The majority of Square Enix sales have obviously come on the PlayStation side of things ever since they kind of transitioned from being Nintendo to more Sony-centric company. It's not to say that they can't find a home here. I think they've shown with some of their titles they've put on Game Pass and on Xbox that they can find a brand new fan base that, especially for people who have been 100% Xbox the entire time and never branched out to a Sony system, that they can find a new fan base here as well on the Xbox side of things. But I don't think it's a miss per se, because, Square's going to do business with who they want to do business with. And Sony shows up with a bag of money, then so be it. They're going to take it and work out a deal. Does Phil have the opportunity? Yes. Now, again, whether or not Phil showing up with the Brinks truck is enough to get Square Enix to do a exclusive deal on a brand new game, let's say, versus some of their older stuff. Now that's to be questioned. And I don't know if we know that answer. If the folks at the top of Square would like to do that or would ever kind of do that deal with Xbox, but that's what I'd like to see. That's why I'm interested to see what else is in this leak. If there is some hint that they might be closing the gap and, getting a tighter relationship with Xbox as well. But I can't really call it a miss on Xbox's part if the opportunity that simply was not there, because this was a deal between two old partners, right? I can't,
Okay.
I can't blame Xbox for that. Xbox has its own relationships, right? They have their own relationships with certain developers and publishers, where they're getting deals, right? We've seen Xbox now cozy up with EA, right? So we've seen some stuff there, and who knows how far that's going to go, and possibly Ubisoft, right? We've seen some signs there as well that maybe that one is strengthening. So I think this is just I think it really, at the end of the day, I can't call it a loss or a miss for Microsoft. Is it disappointing? Yes. But if Square Enix decides to do deals with Sony because of their long-standing relationship, then that's out of Xbox's hands. Yes, Phil is making inroads. Yes, Phil can drive up the Brinks trucks and say, hey, what is it going to take? But we don't know that he hasn't done that already, and we don't know what their response has been. The bigger miss was Phil promising Xbox was going to get Final Fantasy 14, and that still has not shown up on Xbox. That's probably the biggest miss, because that sounds like that was a done deal, and who knows what happened there, because I don't think Phil goes on stage saying that unless he had already had some deep discussions with Square Enix. But at the end of the day, we still have not seen Xbox, Final Fantasy 14 on the Xbox side. That's a bigger miss to me right there, because I think that's something that should have been done quite a long time ago.
And you know something? I think you're right. I think you're onto something, especially when you say we don't know what Microsoft has done, right? We don't know if they have another game that's being made by Square that isn't exclusive. Right. There are a lot of people in the chat that want a monster JRPG, a AAA JRPG for Xbox, and we could potentially get it. But let's right. Let me get Zemi Games in on the conversation. Zemi, yep. as someone that appreciates and really does look forward to and thoroughly enjoys RPGs, this is another Square deal that is going to disappoint a lot of Xbox fans. Now, granted, a lot of people on this panel, a lot of people in this chat, and we have almost 300 people here already, which is awesome, support multiple consoles. So if you're someone that is Xbox exclusive, well, then you're going to have to wait. But if you're someone like me who's like, well, listen, you know what? I'm not waiting 2 years to play a game that I might find interesting. Now, if I don't like the game, I'm not going to buy it. So then it's no big deal to me. But, I do like Square. And I do like I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan per se, because like 16, I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to buy Final Fantasy 16. And that's another one that I forgot. You got Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 16, the new action RPG with the female lead, and now this one. That's 4 Square games that are exclusive. Oh, and PS, by the way, 2+ year exclusives for PlayStation. Is this a miss for Team Xbox?
I don't really think so. Of course, it does sound like a lot was in this. A lot is still on the table that we don't know, right? Like the only thing, that we really have heard about is this Final Fantasy game that's, exclusive to PlayStation, right? But it sounds like a lot was taken from this company, and, like what you said and Pong said, Xbox could have deals with Square Enix that just haven't been leaked yet. And if that's the case, then there's your answer as to how it's not really like the biggest, setback for Xbox. But ultimately, I think the thing to remember here as gamers is that we can't always get what we want, right? There is always going to be some level of compromise. Xbox can't go to every single third-party developer and company and say, hey, let's make a game, right? They just can't do that, right? That would be a very bad business decision on their part. So for sure, Xbox definitely has, third-party deals in the works. Many of them, I would imagine, we don't even understand. Like we haven't even heard of yet, right? But this is something that is very common in this industry, right? And so just because Xbox doesn't have third-party deals with Square Enix doesn't mean that they don't have third-party deals with other Japanese studios. We know Phil spent a lot of time over there in that region. And then, more than that doesn't mean that they don't have third-party deals with, more Western companies, right? So I don't think that this is, some terrible news, on the Xbox front. Sony's been playing this game for a very long time. They're very good at doing it, and they're going to get some wins, right? They're going to get some victories, and this is just one of them, right? And from my perspective, I'm not really the biggest Square Enix fan. I like some of the stuff that they come out with. I haven't really been big into Final Fantasy here for a very long time. But after seeing like the medieval-ish looking Final Fantasy, I think it's 16 that was like at last E3 or something. I am interested in that, and of course I have a PlayStation, so I'm going to play it on that console. But I don't think it's the biggest, I don't think it is like doom and gloom for Team Xbox that they don't have a lot of deals with Square Enix. But we have seen them have deals with Square Enix in the past, right? They had a Tomb Raider game exclusive for them last generation for quite some time.
What's funny? You should bring that up because if you guys remember that, and that's why this industry, and I'm not talking about the fans, I'm not talking about the gamers, because we're a finicky bunch, right? Some of us are full of shit. Some of us are just, they like their brands, and it is what it is. But this is more focused on the media. And again, I don't want to make this into I hate the media event, because there's a lot of people in the media that I know behind the scenes that I talk to on a weekly basis, and we're very good friends.
Yeah.
But that particular deal that you're referring to, the poor Square Enix people couldn't even get off the effing stage, if I recall that incident correctly, where the media basically blocked them from leaving until they answered the questions. I do not see the same energy from those same media personnel about these Square deals. When PlayStation does it, and I don't want to make this into a console war thing, but I gotta say it, because if I don't, it's going to bother me. Mm-hmm. This is where you have to ask the question: is there a double standard here? Because that's 4 games, guys. We're not talking 1. We're not talking 2. 4 Square Enix games, and no one in the industry, in the gaming industry, has said one peep about that. But that's my rant. Please continue.
Yeah, I mean, and just to kind of touch on that, I think there for a while there has been a double standard. And then of course, there are, a lot of journalists who are very, very passionate about their field, and they really want to get that next big story, right? And coupling that with the idea that the media has been biased. Not all journalists, but definitely select some have been biased towards the Xbox brand and this last generation for sure. I mean, it's definitely a thing, and that's a great point to bring up. But another game to also realize is that Last of Us was in Xbox Game Pass for, there for a little bit as well, right? So Xbox has worked with Square Enix in the past. Are they working with them currently? I don't know. Maybe they are. If they are, and here maybe in the next couple of weeks or something gets leaked out showing that, they have an exclusive game with Square Enix, then that's what it is. But I don't think it is the biggest disadvantage to Xbox that PlayStation has an exclusive game being made by Square Enix. I mean, because let's look at it like this, right? Yeah, PlayStation might have an exclusive game being made by Square Enix, but Xbox has Bethesda, right?
That's true.
Those are two wins, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, what you're saying makes ridiculous amount of sense for sure, and I think to that point, Zammy, I'm glad you bring that up, because that's actually a really, really sharp point to bring up. It makes sense as to why Sony is dropping off these huge bags of money to Square, because they have not just Obsidian, not just Bethesda, but they also have In Exile. They literally have the Western RPG market cornered at Xbox.
Yeah. No, for sure they do. And to think that Sony wouldn't do something to combat that, it would be would be, in my opinion, would be uneducated, right? I mean, of course, Sony is still in the game. They're still trying to win. They're still trying to sell consoles and make money and be, and do better than last generation. Like that is still their goal and their hope going into this new generation. And this is them playing that game. Them going and getting exclusive games like this is them playing the game. Xbox is playing the game as well. They're just playing it differently. And if, there are any Xbox fans out there that are really, really upset that there isn't an Xbox third-party exclusive from Square Enix, let Xbox know. Tell them. Make a poll. Send them letters. Do all that different stuff. Xbox listens to its fans. That's something that we definitely know. We've seen it countless times. And if the fans want it bad enough, Xbox will definitely do it, right? So, ultimately, it's really just, business games happening right now. Xbox has gotten a lot of wins. It's time for Sony to try to get their win. And they're both fighting, for the consumer dollar at the end of the day. I wouldn't get all upset if by Sony getting these third-party exclusives. It's just them getting a small victory in where Xbox has been dominating, in my opinion.
And you know what? I mean, again, what a fantastic point. Josh, listen, I feel terrible for you. You got to follow up these two monster content creators with your own thoughts and theories, but I think you're as sharp as a tack as well. Is this a miss for Xbox, or is this one of those instances that both entities, meaning Xbox and PlayStation, have their source of toys in the toy box where Western RPGs locked up for Xbox, JRPGs locked up for PlayStation, and if you want to play both, then maybe people need to just, buy both consoles. What are your thoughts on this?
It's exactly that. Like, I feel like Xbox probably looked, they're like, okay, we have $7 billion. Who do we want? At that point, you offer anybody $7 billion, they're probably going to take it. Right. But what are these, what were the deals like? How long did these deals with Final Fantasy and stuff go with the PlayStation that they would have bought Square, but then not had access to these exclusives for years to come? And
that's it. Well, from what I understand, every one of the games that we are talking about are 2-year deals.
So there you go. It's still 2 years before, whereas like after Deathloop, right?
And Ghostwire Tokyo, which are a year. Yeah.
And we've talked about, Starfield's been talked about a lot. Now it's going to be exclusive. And I think so. Not only that, not only did they look to see, like, they looked at their player base, I would assume, right? They leaned into what they've always done well,
for sure.
like the Western RPGs and shooters. That is what I've always played my Xbox for, and that is what Bethesda is. It's almost like peanut butter and chocolate at that point. And the other thing is like, unless Microsoft's play was to really, really reach that the audience over to the East, I know they're working on it, but like it almost just would feel out of place if these kind of games were exclusive to Xbox, especially since there's plenty of PlayStation fans that bought PlayStations knowing that the Final Fantasy games are gonna be there. That's their home. That's where they belong. It to me, when I think about PlayStation, like, I almost feel like Cloud is more of a mascot for Sony than any other Sony mascot, and that's just me. It's like I almost feel like Cloud is their Mario in a sense, and so it's where they belong. And for me personally, I've never completed a single Final Fantasy game. Like, the Square games that I've played have been on the Switch. I've had a good time with them. That, I guess if we're just talking Square published games, Outriders was great, and we got to see that on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So this doesn't see. It's like finding out a new Madden is coming out this year. Like, I'm not that shocked by it.
Okay, I mean, and that really does make sense because I think everyone is on to something when you all almost in conjunction say that this is not surprising because Square really is their home is Sony, their home is PlayStation at one point or another, and it seems like the same deals that went on through the PlayStation 4 era are going to continue through the PlayStation 5 era. I mean, listen, this is, I mean, Pong knocked it out of the park. We got to have you and Zemi do more topics on a regular basis because both you, when you guys pick a topic, you guys go in deep. And this was a great way to open up the show, folks. We're nearly with 400 people here, or only, what are we? We're 34 minutes into the show, which is freaking awesome to have this many people here this early. And of course, I don't like begging for likes, but if you are enjoying the show, I would truly appreciate you hitting the like button, folks. We are marching towards 10K, and we are just under 1,700 subs away. That seems like a mountain for me, but in number land, not really. And when we get to that 10,000K, Mrs. Boomstick and I are giving away 2 massive prizes. And all you gotta do is be a just subscribe to the channel. Now, normally I don't do that because anyone could just subscribe for the win. But listen, I want to get to 10K, and I want to do it with this community because Mrs. Boomstick and I built this channel with community first, and we want to continue to give back to you guys and gals. So we're giving away as the grand prize, and there's a grand prize and there's a runner-up prize. If you don't already know, it's called it's the Mr. Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick 10K giveaway. We're giving away one Xbox Series X with a year of Game Pass, which is the major prize, and the minor prize is no slouch. It is the Xbox Series S with 1 year of Game Pass. And all you got to do is be a subscriber to the channel. And if you can help push this and get more people involved to subscribe, it would be tremendously appreciated. But I do want to move on to one of the big topics of the show, folks. And we're going to open this up. In an interview with a French newspaper, Le Figaro, I think it is Le Figaro. Yeah, Figaro. That's it. Le Figaro. Head of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty, has revealed some interesting information about Xbox Game Studios and their upcoming plans with new IP. Now, the development of games of any size, scope, or developer knowledge can certainly be impacted with things that are thrown their way. Specifically talking, COVID-19 has forced just about everybody in the industry to an absolute halt through 2020. And even now, the world is starting to open up, but COVID-19 has really hurt a lot of the bigger studios. Now, the big question as E3 2021 approaches, I kind of want to talk about where Xbox Game Studios were affected and who was affected the most. And many in this community that are currently in this chat today were asking, should we temper our expectations, and what could we expect for the 20th anniversary blowout from Phil Spencer and the teams at Redmond? So Zemi, I want to start with you first. Xbox has a lot of teams that are using mocap, specifically talking Ninja Theory. Now, we've seen some vid docs of her, the main actress at Senua, training, and she's actually doing all the stunts herself this time. She's learned the sword fight, and their vid docs are amazing. But I think that they're one of the studios that were hurt the most because mocap is such a big deal, and I think that is what hurt Sony. We don't know what studios at Sony, but they definitely use mocap more than anybody in the industry, if you didn't know. And my question to you is, what other studios do you think were potentially affected by COVID-19, and should gamers temper their expectations for what they're going to show at E3?
Yeah, I mean, just starting off, I think everyone should be tempering their expectations, right? Because just for me personally, I would rather go into something, not having really any expectations, and then whatever's being shown to me, I'm just super excited about, right? Rather than going in there expecting all these great things and maybe not getting any of them to happen, even though I'm getting great games to play in the future. I just think mentally it's a lot better to just go into anything without, making your expectation for the show, as big and grandiose as you can possibly imagine. Because that's always going to lead to being disappointed. And that's just the way I look at it. Right. So always temper expectations going in. Sometimes I agree it is easier said than done, but I think it's always, great practice to, temper expectations. As to what studios under Xbox are most affected by, COVID, I think all of them in one way or another have been affected. And I think in some ways the more moving parts a studio had, prior to COVID, the more, it was affected, by this virus, right? I think, the teams that have, generally speaking, like the larger teams, I think made it a lot harder because that was more hardware that you had to buy, more security risks that you had to deal with people working at home and having potential leaks happen and all this different stuff, right? And so I think generally speaking, the larger a studio was, the harder it was for those studios to work remotely. But then there's other, factors that go into it, like how many people on a team previously had experience working remote, right? Was the entire studio built around remote work, which I don't think any of Xbox's studios that they have, are, but there are some game studios that are fully remote studios. With Ninja Theory, I think that you bring up a great point of motion capture and how that could be affected by, the actors actually coming into the studio and performing their roles, for sure. So I don't know necessarily, exactly, how much each studio is affected by this and if, we're going to see any delays or anything like that. I think that we're going to see Halo Infinite. I don't, maybe COVID definitely affected 343 Industries, but I think that the game was so close to being done. They just did a lot of polish and increase the game graphically, so I think that helped them, on time, not to, have it delayed again. I really do think it's going to come out this year. But, games, from studios like Bethesda, right? We were talking about this a few weeks ago. Starfield, it may potentially come out next year. A lot of us think that it's going to come out this year. And in my heart of hearts, I really believe that they were planning on a holiday 2021 release. But with COVID, that might have gotten pushed back to spring or summer or, God forbid, holiday of 2022, right? I don't think that there's really any solid way of understanding, what studios have really been impacted besides just waiting to see when these games are going to be coming out, right? And just kind of doing guesswork on it. But I think that there's a lot of factors that, contribute to how these studios are being affected. And I think the larger the studio, the more, significantly harder it becomes to adapt to this new environment for gameplay, or game development, right? It's just more moving parts, more issues with the transition over to remote work. But with that being said, I even with games being pushed back, being delayed, all that different stuff, I think Xbox has enough studios underneath it and has planned out enough coming into this new generation that regardless of anything that COVID might have affected, we're still going to get an amazing E3 this year, and we're still going to get plenty of games for the holiday season, regardless of how COVID could have impacted anything.
And you know what? I think you're right. And this is where we start to see Phil Spencer's plan come to fruition. And what I'm talking about, I mentioned it in last night's Primetime Gaming. That was a great episode. I mean, we almost went 2.5 hours. We had Kay Asante, who debuted, who is an amazing content creator. Want to see him grow. He's obviously in the chat. So Kay Asante, what's up, brother? We also had Crispy Bomb. He never throws a punch. He's always ready to throw a punch, I should say. And he did great work last night. But this is where Phil's this is if you look at what's happening, right? I don't necessarily think that they knew COVID was going to happen. No one in the entire planet knew that was going to happen, Zemi. But if you look at right place, right time. Right, everyone looks back into the May event of 2020 and was like, boo, not enough gameplay. But I walked away giving that show an 8.5 out of 10 because of the amount of games that they showed. And all of those games that they showed are releasing this year in the second half of 2021, which if you consider the amount of games that they showed, and we only, what we don't know, which we're going to learn at E3 in a couple of weeks, Xbox gamers are going to be packed to the gills with games to play for sure. Again, great points as always, Zemi. The Pong. So let's get your opinion on this. This is a double-sided topic because on the back half of it, we're going to be talking about some of the other things that Matt Booty had to say regarding the Bethesda Xbox event. But I want to talk about expectations. And should they be tempered? And do you believe that most, if not all, of the 23 studios were affected by COVID, and because of that, maybe we don't get a lot of these games as soon as we thought?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. First of all, on the point of tempering expectations, for me, I'm the opposite of Zemi. Okay, I don't temper my expectations. I refuse to temper my expectations. I get hyped for these shows.
Me too. My glass is always half full, brother. I'm right there with you.
That's right. And if I come out disappointed, I come out disappointed. That's on me, right? And I'm certainly not going to blame anybody else other than myself. But I go in hyped because I am always expecting the best out of each and every one of these shows. And I finally come to the realization that even when I've tried to temper my expectations in the past, I fail miserably. So I just give up. I'm all.
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
I'm all in.
Easy, it's hard.
Hey, look. Oh, that's okay, Zemi. I know. So is playing some scary games, but you choose not to do that either, right?
So, it's hard. It's hard sometimes because those games look so good. Like Medium, like it's hard. I want to play the Medium, but I know I shouldn't. So I'm not.
Right. So I'm coming into C3 with huge expectations. Okay, I think Microsoft needs to set the table going forward. This is their mark. This is their point. And despite COVID, despite the chip shortages, despite everything that's kind of working against the industry right now, the industry itself is on fire. And I think Microsoft needs to, again, they're climbing a mountain. That they put themselves at the bottom of with last generation, and they've done one hell of a job up to this point of doing so, and they are working their way up that mountain. But I think they need to establish their dominance starting with E3, and I think that we are going to see, despite some of the murmurings out there that possibly that it might be toned down, they might play it safe. I think that they go all out, and I think they drop some massive bombs, and I think that they bring us exactly what we want. Now, are we going to get everything that we want? No. I think that without COVID, I think we'd be seeing Hellblade 2 footage this year. But I think at this point, it sounds like we're not going to see Hellblade 2 footage this year, which makes sense. Again, Ninja Theory, even though they are a smaller team, as you talked about, Boom, they rely so heavily on mocap that I think there was just no way around what happened. They just opened up their new mocap studio. They're just slowly but surely getting people in there. So I think Hellblade 2 was definitely the most affected, game, and Ninja Theory the most affected studio that we are aware of right now for Microsoft and Xbox. And I think that's pretty obvious just from the type of game that they are making. So are we going to get everything at E3? No, we are not. However, every studio's been affected in some way, shape, or form. If the Starfield news is true, and again, I'm still dying on my 2021 hill. I am gasping for breath right now, but I'm still hoping for a shock and awe moment that all of this was just part of a disinformation campaign, so that we all just get blown away at E3 and they come out and still announce a 2021 release for holiday.
It's funny you say that, Pong, because I had a thought. I was doing some errands prior to the show because, obviously I take care of the household while Mrs. Boomstick is hard at work. And, we have known for a very long time that Jason Schreier has been blacklisted by many studios, but Bethesda specifically, he has been blackballed or blacklisted, whatever you want to call it. And obviously he got a nugget of information that Starfield is nowhere to be done and no time soon, and this is coming from a source that he knew. Could you imagine for a hot second if this was a God Howard long play to stick it right up
Praise
where
be
the
his name.
sunshine does name? Yeah, I mean,
Praise
just
be
think
his
about that. Think about that for a second. If this is a long play to make him look like a boob, and they do release it in this fall, I mean, again, it's unlikely, but wow, if that happens.
Right, exactly. Talk about, like I said, shock and awe, just a complete moment, a mic drop moment where they just make a huge statement on multiple
God Howard
fronts.
would come out. Yeah. God Howard would come out.
Yes, praise
and
his
say,
name.
you know, wouldn't
Praise
wouldn't it be pretty awesome if he came out and he said, you know, there's a specific, journalist that it didn't
There's
call him out.
no way would ever happen.
I would love it.
No way Todd
love
Howard, praising his name, would get.
He comes out and he says, you know, we love journalists, but there are just some that always seem to think that they know everything, and this one doesn't. And he doesn't mention him by name, and he goes out of his way and says Starfield, October 13th.
Yep. 2021. Oh man, that'd be crazy, Boom. That'd be crazy. We are in speculation town, so sure, why not? Let's make it happen. Yeah. Why not? But yeah, no, as far as the rest of the show goes, I think another studio I have to think may have been affected just because we are so unsure if we're going to see anything at E3 would be, Machine Games and Wolfenstein 3. If that game, if they've been making that game, which everybody assumes that they have been, to finish off that trilogy properly, and they just announced that obviously Machine Games is now going to be working on Indiana Jones. So you got to believe they wouldn't have announced that Machine Games was working on Indiana Jones unless they were ready to start transitioning over, which means that Wolfenstein 3 would be close to being done. However, if we're not going to see that, we haven't even heard a glimmer of that other than people speculating that it might show up at some point, then you gotta think that at some point it was affected and got pushed a little bit later, because time frame wise, they have had plenty of time to get that game done. And we should be seeing it at this point on E3 for either a late 2021 release or an early 2022 release. And so if we don't see that, then I definitely would put that in there as well. We already are, know full well, it's been documented and talked about time and time again about 343 and possibly what happened to them. Obviously, the biggest team, I think, that Xbox has by a long shot overall. I mean, they've got so many people working on Halo Infinite that obviously they were devastated by COVID. But I think they make all of that up at this E3. And I think they finally put everything to rest, and I think we get the massive blowout of Halo Infinite that we were expecting. And I think that it's going to put a lot of the concerns to rest. Of course, there will always be haters, and no matter what happens, it's never going to be good enough for everybody. But guess what? I think at the end of the day, they put Halo Infinite back on the map again for this holiday, and I think that they show the world why they had so many people working on this game and what the potential that Halo Infinite has going forward is going to be. And I think that we are all going to get even more hyped than most people already are for Halo Infinite, and it restarts that whole train again towards holiday 2021 and this anniversary, this huge celebration of what Halo means to the entire gaming industry, not just Xbox. And I think that is definitely going to be the showcase here. I think we do see some Starfield. Again, this is all personal thoughts and personal opinions, but I think that they might have, if Starfield was going to be a 2021 release, I think they might have kept it the two shows separate. From the simple standpoint, they'd probably had a huge showcase plan for Starfield, and you have, Xbox, it's all Xbox now, and I get that, and I understand why people say they just need to mix them both together. I understand all of that. I'm just saying from a planning perspective, since their planning would have started last year prior to the acquisition, that they would have had a huge showcase plan for Starfield, and it would have made perfect sense to have the Xbox showcase. Obviously with Halo Infinite and all the other stuff they're going to show, and then obviously a huge showcase for Starfield, and have all the, ZeniMax, Bethesda, whatever you want to call it, show, with that as like a double header, right? I think that would have probably made the most sense from a planning standpoint. That could be completely wrong. We could still get a gigantic blowout of both games all mixed into one. It still would work. I was just thinking from the standpoint of how we were hearing that it was going to be two shows at one time up until just a couple months ago. And then as soon as the Starfield 2022 rumors started, then all of a sudden we started talking about all one big show together at the same time. So I think those two things go to hand in hand together. But I think we're going to see a focus on the games that are coming out within this year and next year. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of future stuff. I know a lot of people want to see Fable, a glimpse more of Fable, and that kind of stuff. But I think Microsoft is really going to focus on the short term here at this E3.
So you're thinking maybe 18 to 24 months ahead.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think they go much beyond that. Again, it would just make sense that they focus on the here and now, especially since we already know that the here and now includes a ton of content, because we're not even talking about the third-party deals. We're not even talking about the smaller games that they have coming. We're not talking about any of that stuff, which is all, again, we don't even know probably, a third of the stuff that they've got in the works as far as deals go. And I think they really focus on what's coming here and now versus the future stuff, which we know is there. But I think they have so much within the next 18 to 24 months to give us that I think they really, really dig into that and lean on that heavily so that people understand what is going to be showing up in Game Pass day and date now, like quickly, not thinking so much about the future plans. So I think that's what we're going to see out of E3.
I mean, again, great stuff, dude. And I think I'm almost. I think I can agree with you almost 100% on that as well. I mean, honestly, I would love to see. I talked about this last night that I'm at a point with Xbox where I kind of want to see the future a little bit. And I get they're limited as to what they're skittish. They're still skittish after what happened with.
You want to see them do what Sony does and selling consumers on hope, right?
Yes. And that's a great point. It's selling. It's something that Sony does very well. In fact, they're going to be doing it this Thursday when they show off Horizon. There's a lot going on Thursday.
Thursday. I mean, Thursday's my birthday. Boom! I get a huge day full of gaming news.
Early birthday. Yeah. not only are you getting Horizon Forbidden West, Sonic is having his own event, and there was something else that was just announced.
We get Dragon Quest 35th anniversary. They're having an event that day as well.
And there's a big blowout happening for the zombie game.
Yep, Dying Light 2.
Dying Light 2, and Dying Light 1 is getting like the ultimate platinum edition that drops on consoles. I believe it's going to have next gen support on the 27th as well. I mean, there is a lot going on. So Breakfast with Boom is going to be absolutely amazing. But Josh, N64, let's get your opinion on this. You heard everyone's opinion, but of course I'm interested to hear yours. Now, as we close in on E3, obviously, I'm like Pong, I never temper my expectations. I would rather be disappointed than go in half-cocked. That's just me. And I know that sometimes I'm going to be disappointed. That's life. Sometimes you don't always get candy, you get, poop. That's just the way it is. But my question to you is, are you tempering
the wrong houses, my friend?
You absolutely are right. This is like a Charlie Brown rock incident, except poop is worse, I think. But
absolutely.
Oh, God.
My question to you is, are you tempering your expectations, and can we expect Microsoft to take advantage of the 20th anniversary blowout? The fact that the box is and the platform is 20 years old, and they should be blowing this out of the water, considering that it is a big anniversary.
They are going to. There's no way they aren't, right? And when it comes to like expectations and hype, like, I'm super excited for E3, but I'm also of the mind that like I'm gonna be stoked with whatever we get, right? I have hopes. I hope that we see some games like Crimson Sky
Oh my
and
God,
Mech
yes.
Assault maybe get a little bit of love with the 20th anniversary. Like even if it was a free to play Crimson Sky where you unlocked plane skins and stuff like I would be all in.
That's a game that's jazzing for a rebirth of sorts. And you know something that's funny, you even bring that up because that really does fit Microsoft's MO of getting people to come over to play, because Microsoft's Xbox platform has always been known not just as the shooter box, but the multiplayer box.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a game that could easily come back. I mean, or send a team to remake it from the ground up. You know, give it the Resident Evil 2 remake, love and care, and you have a franchise.
I loved that series. Like it's near and dear to me. And if you guys remember when they showcased that it was going to be backwards compatible, and everybody lost. I mean, like Phil knows people love this series. So hopefully we see something that like is even. I mean, look at like Nintendo. They did the Mario 3D All Stars. Even if there was a 20th anniversary OG Xbox kind of like a rare replay, right? With a handful of games that they added online to. That's the only thing that's if even if they came out, the only thing they did was say, hey, our original Xbox One games, we're going to add some online to a few of them, right? If Crimson Skies got online again, that game, because of that game, I bought a second Xbox and had 2 TVs set up in my living room so my wife and I could play without having to have split screen. Like that's how much I would love like that. I love that game. Loved it. So I'd love to see something there. As far as how far out Xbox goes, I don't think they need to go anything beyond like 24 months. I don't know that it would be. I just don't think that it would be a good choice. We need the games here and now, right? So if they can hit us with some out nows and give us a nice roadmap for if they could do something like how Nintendo did like 3 years ago, where it was like we got to see a brand new game come out every month.
Yeah.
And we could kind of like have our like we know, hey, this is going to be Infinite, and this is going to be Forza, and January is going to be this, and February is going to be this. Like I think that would just get the Xbox community just hyped and ready to go. I think we're still feeling the effects of COVID, so I don't know that they could give us some solid, like as many solid dates as they want to. But at the same time, stuff has been delayed for so long now that I hope it's had enough time that this is the E3 where we know, hey, here's some dates. And I think those dates, as long as, I mean, again, delays end up happening, but I think if we have those dates, it's going to get a lot of people very excited, and it'll be that would make E3 for me, just knowing when we're going to see a lot of these games, and and who maybe it would be a prime time for them to do a HD Fable collection, right? For the new game coming out, similar to how we have the Master Chief collection. Like I think Xbox can lean into some of these past franchises a little bit more, and because there's going to be people that have never touched Fable when Fable 4 is coming out, and to have, I mean, I know they're on Game Pass and stuff, but I mean, just to have them updated, I think. Look at Mass Effect. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Like everybody's just loving that, and honestly, I think that the Mass Effect Legendary Edition is leading up to build hype for the next game, because
It definitely is.
Oh, 100%.
It definitely
yeah.
they showed a trailer for like the next Mass Effect, like after Andromeda, like I think last E3. Like, it for sure is. And I really hope that they let you have your save files from like now playing this Mass Effect and like transfer all of your save files over to like Mass Effect 5 or whatever they decide to call it.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Like I'm like, my expectations are always usually kept in check, and I'll usually look for the silver lining, right? That's just kind of the way having covered this stuff for as long as I have, it's just like it helps me put out better content at the end of the day when I'm not just pissed that I didn't get what I wanted.
No, I mean, listen, it makes it makes a lot of sense, and again, I think everyone is in the same boat at this point. I don't want to say we're just going to be happy with whatever they show us, because I'm not saying that. There are certain things that I expect at this show. I expect at least a 10-minute gameplay of Halo Infinite, and I don't think I'm asking too much. I mean, I don't want to see. Originally, I was thinking maybe we get some side by side, show the old footage from the last July, and then this June show what it looks like now. I don't want to see that. I've come to the realization that I want to see this in all of its glory, running at the most optimum range possible, and I think we're going to get it. I really think that 343 is going to knock this out of the park. Again, one of the biggest complaints wasn't the gameplay. The gameplay looked innovative. It looked new. It looked fresh. It looked fun. The graphics, they just did not hit. You don't want pop in on your next gen Halo. Unfortunately, that happened. That's going to be gone. We're going to get a chance to see Master Chief completely kicking ass and taking names, and I expect at least a 10-minute blowout on that. And for Starfield, I think that we're going to get that at not the Xbox show. I think it has to be at the Bethesda show, and it also has to be one of those big 10-minute blowouts to show everyone what we can expect whenever we can expect it. And again, if it turns out that they want to throw some shade at Jason Schreier, which I would love, to be honest with you, and they say, and they don't name drop him, because why give the guy any credit, but completely shock everyone, think, oh yeah, listen, the rumors that of the game was going to be delayed and it's not done. Well, we kind of threw that out there. This guy took it. He's a knucklehead, but yeah, it's coming out this October, and suck it. That would be the way I would handle it if I was God Howard, but obviously I am not God Howard.
Amen.
But I do want to move on and segue into the Bethesda Xbox event. Now, we have confirmation from Matt Booty himself during this interview with, of course, the French website, talking about the Xbox and Bethesda event. Originally, it was thought to be that it was going to be two separate shows, one held earlier and then take a break, and then one held on the back end, splitting up the shows. Well, no, we have actual confirmation that it is a joint conference for E3, and we just had news drop moments ago that popped onto my screen that the event has been confirmed, from what I understand. I didn't read the whole article because I'm doing a live show, so the headline is that it's going to be Sunday, June 13th. That's not a surprise. They usually have Sunday events like they did last year, and of course the year that I went in 2019, it was a Sunday event. So it apparently the article that I didn't get a chance to read said that it's going to be Sunday, June 13th. I did not get the specific time, but it's probably going to be sometime mid-afternoon, and we will be covering that on this show live. That'd be a special edition Xbox Factor podcast where we will be watching the content live on the air and getting exciting, and you're going to hear us reacting right along with you. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. But as we get closer, I will be making those notifications to everyone, so you can stay informed. But Xbox users, that's us, of course, have been eagerly awaiting what the future will hold for the platform ever since Microsoft acquired Bethesda last year. Now, rumors have circulated regarding whether the upcoming games from Bethesda will now be exclusives, and of course we have confirmation that all of those games are going to be exclusive moving forward. Not a big surprise there. But what Matt Booty had to say during this interview was very interesting. And even though he didn't get into specifics on what exactly the conference will include, being sure not to drop any hints at future projects that might be showcased on that day as a surprise, he did speak on the future of the creative freedom of Bethesda Studios that Xbox has acquired. And though Booty confirmed that they will remain unaffected despite the acquisition, adding that Xbox will also not touch Bethesda's publishing services. Now, the big question is, what is going to be at this event? What will both of them bring to the table? Starfield, easy to suggest. Halo, we know is going to be there. But the question is, how long is this dual event going to go on for? Because normally, like I said, I got a chance using, of course, getting in through a press pass, thanks to my channel and Double Barrel Gaming. I was able during 2019's E3 get into Bethesda's event, and I gotta tell you, folks, it was impressive to say the least. King David and I got a chance to hang out and really experience what Bethesda brought to the table, and their shows are legit.
Wait a minute.
What's that?
I think we met after that presentation while talking.
You know what, John?
Cognito.
You know what, dude? I met so many people that we actually might have met, and it just went right over my head. I was just so amazed by the day. I actually think
how did
meet
Todd
you.
look? Did he look good?
Todd always looks good.
Looks
Crazy
amazing.
his name.
He always his hair is always perfect hair.
Beautiful man. Beautiful man.
Beautiful man. Absolutely is.
Anyway, let me continue my point. Of course, there is speculation that this could be a 3-hour event. I honestly don't think it would be. 3 hours is a long time to be up on stage. Obviously, Phil's not going to be there on stage for 3 hours, but he's going to be there for a good portion. I'm thinking that they scaled it down to about maybe 2 hours, splitting up each show for an hour. Maybe Xbox goes an hour and 15, an hour and 20, and of course Bethesda can go an hour and 15, hour and 20, making it a 2.5+ hour show. I think that's a sweet spot, in my opinion, especially if you have a lot to show, and especially if the two particular games like Starfield and Halo are going to take a strong presence. They have to lead in, they have to show the gameplay, they have to lead out. So that's probably a 40-minute situation right there on just 2 games. And of course, Xbox is going to have a lot to show. Pong, I want to start with you on this one. What are your expectations on this dual event? Do you feel that the dual event is going to do both of these entities justice, or would you rather have them do what they normally do and have separate events?
Well, I alluded to it in the last topic a little bit, Boom. My first thought was that, I would like to see them as separate shows, just because, and again, I understand the whole point. They are all one team now, right? So I get the whole fact that a lot of people are saying absolutely not. You put them all together. It's an Xbox event. They're all Xbox studios. You don't separate anybody. You just you make it work. You put them all together and you give everybody a complete one show. I get that. For me personally, right? Because, and maybe this is my old school thinking, maybe this is just, nostalgia or whatever the case may be, like you just talked about, Boom. The Bethesda shows were always special. Okay. They always were knock it out of the park home runs. Not to say that Xbox hasn't had its own home runs, but there was something magical about Bethesda shows. People just got excited, and that name still carries a lot of weight in the industry. Even though it's all Xbox now, Bethesda itself still to this day carries a lot of weight, and will continue to do so. So for me, I personally would love to see the two show aspect back to back. I think that would have been fantastic, but if they're going to do it as one, so be it. I get it. Totally understand it. I'm still hyped for it. I'm going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they mix the games, or if it's still broken up in their own show where you have all the, Xbox Studios games, and then you have a Bethesda showcase or a ZeniMax showcase, whatever you want to call it. I'm still interested to see how that's going to play out, or if they interspace them and mix it all up. Again, I got to go back to what you were talking about, Boom, as far as the length of show. I think that two and a half is probably the sweet spot. I think you're right there. I would not be shocked if it's a bigger one. If they go all,
I mean, listen, I'm okay for a 3-hour show, brothers.
Right.
Set me up.
Right. I think if they go all in, and if they're not holding back, and they're going to, and we just heard from Clobriel yesterday, the day before, that he is aware of 5 completely new AAA titles.
Yes,
that they
are
are
going to be shown. Yes,
right, that they are
Yeah.
ready to talk about. Now, he said that's still in flux and that they're still discussing things and things can change, but he's aware of 5 AAA new titles.
IPs. Yes,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're going all in and they're going to do this, right, which is cool by me, I'm all about it. Don't get me wrong. Like I said before, I'm expecting them to focus on the here and now versus the future. But if they decide that's what they want to do, then give me a 3-hour show, because I don't want them to clip out things or to shorten things just to try to squeeze it into a 2.5 hour show.
Yes.
I'd rather them give us the full boat and say, hey, buckle up, fans, because guess what? We're going all out here. We're going to give you every single dish that we got coming. We're going to give you a little piece of it, and we want you all to understand that we are now in a position of power. We now have all these studios, all these teams, and we are coming this generation. If you didn't know before, if the $7.5 billion acquisition didn't tell you something before, guess what? We're going to show you right now what we're talking about here. If they're going to do that, then I'm all for the 3-hour show. But like I said, it's going to be very, very, very interesting to me just how they go ahead and mix it up, and how they lay it out so that the fans get to see everything that they want to show us, but under the understanding of where its place within the roadmap is, right? If they're going to do it, however they're going to do that, I want to know, what we've got coming, what I can look forward to in the next year for sure, that they know they can lock down. I want to know that stuff. I want to see gameplay. I don't want to see all CGI trailers, and I think Phil is well aware of that. People who know a lot more than myself on the inside have been talking about that Phil heard everybody, and he understands we don't want to see a lot of CGI. We want to see gameplay from here on out. We've seen too much CGI and too much future promises. So if they're going to do that first and then say, oh, by the way, we want to show you a little glimpse into the crystal ball, into the future of what we got coming, and then give us some CGI, that's cool by me. I think that would work, and I think I'd be all right with that. I just don't want to see them play it safe at the end of the day. I want them to go all out. So I definitely expect this to be a big show. And if Clobriel's right and we get 5 new AAA titles, that's just from Xbox Game Studios. And we're not talking about the third-party deals like Battlefield 6 showing up on the stage.
Far Cry 6 is a new rumor.
Far Cry 6, I've had my guess that there might be a deal with Ubisoft in the background a little bit here for a old franchise coming back. I think that we could see a big show where it does go for 3 hours, and I'm okay with that as well.
Last night I got everyone very excited because I popped out a scenario that the one last thing. This what I was thinking was that they would announce that Ubisoft Plus was coming, and the first game that they were announced was going to be Far Cry 6 releasing so and so in Xbox Game Pass day and date, and then I said what would happen would be the lights would go dark.
Yep.
And the Splinter Cell legendary sound would come on. Yep. And it would say it wouldn't say anything, but on the bottom part of that preview, it would say Xbox exclusive.
Yep.
And that would be the mic drop moment. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. It's ridiculous.
No, you and I are mind melding right now, Boom, because it's exactly how I love to see it with that bright green lettering of Splinter Cell, and matches Xbox perfectly. And I just have this could just be me and my old nostalgia coming back and how long I've wanted a new Splinter Cell for, but I just have I just have
what would happen
feeling.
if that happens, the lights go and this happens, folks.
Yep. Oh.
Okay, you know what? You had me at hello. We're married.
Yep, exactly.
You're making it harder to temper expectations.
Here's the question. Would you cry? Would you cry?
You know what, dude? I got to be honest with you. I can't say I've cried a lot. Some games have made me cry. Final Fantasy VII, a specific incident with a particular character made me weep like a baby because, you love these characters, but Dude, I don't know if I would cry per se. I think I would be so emotionally stunned. I got it right, which
Right.
would be that would be the number one thing, that I got it right. But number two, who better to lock up a Splinter Cell exclusive than Xbox, simply because Sam Fisher found life on the OG Xbox 20 something years ago, right? Almost 20 years ago. So I don't know. Again, it's just one of those situations. It's one of those. We're actually going to be doing a preview show where we're going to be doing our best guesses for what's going to be, and that's in the next couple of weeks. But Zemi Games, listen.
Yes.
This is a particular situation where I think Microsoft, Phil Spencer specifically, needs to put on his shit-kicking boots and kick in the door, bringing the Xbox community and potential customers the biggest show in the Xbox history. And I say that because not only are they loaded with talent, but this is the 20th anniversary of Xbox is this year. And I think that if you want to make a show, you have now combined your Xbox show, which, depending on who you ask, has always been from average to absolutely fantastic. I don't think I can say they've ever had a really poor one. But then when you mix in that Bethesda, man, you really have a winning combination and a potential to put on one of the best conferences in the platform's history. What are you expecting from this Bethesda, Microsoft combination? Are you expecting, a Sony Year of Dreams kind of a situation?
I think that they're going to definitely stick on a shorter time period than what Sony would, right? I think they're 23 studios with multiple teams working on a huge amount of projects, and then obviously, they definitely have some third-party deals, in the works. There's probably certain games that are going to be coming to Game Pass on launch that they still haven't announced or whatever. I think that they have plenty of content to have an amazing E3 this year without having to, dig really deep down into those pockets and show us things that are 5 years, out. Right. I don't think that they need to do that. And honestly, I don't think that they want to do that. So I think everything that we see is going to be coming in the relatively soon-ish future, probably 18, 24 months out, I would say. Probably maybe even 18 months out, maybe. Things that might be 24 months out, they probably won't give a release date for. As far as the show is going to go, I would be perfectly fine with a 3-hour show. I'd be perfectly fine with a 4-hour show. I would honestly probably be perfectly fine with a 5-hour show, but that's because I'm a hardcore, fan of Xbox and its products, right? Most people probably wouldn't be okay with a 5-hour show. If I was going to guess, I would say probably 2 hours is probably going to be the minimum of what they're going to be shooting for. That's just my guess. I could be wrong. I usually am. But I would probably say 2-hour show is probably sounds right, to me personally, as to what I think that they will do. I think, out of my expectations, which I temper them a lot, I think there are 2 games that are extremely likely. Like, I would be shocked if we did not see these 2 games. And the first one's Halo Infinite. Of course, they're going to have to show it, right? And Starfield. I think that we will see Starfield. I think we're going to see Halo Infinite opening. I think that we're going to probably see Starfield closing. At least that's what I hope we see happen. And then, I think that there's just a huge variety of things that we're going to see. Maybe possibly we might see Hellblade. Maybe they're shooting for a 2022 release date. I don't know the likelihood of that or anything along those lines, but it could be a possibility. Of course, I really hope that we see 12 minutes, because that is a game that I have just been dying to play ever since it was announced. And we really have not gotten a whole lot out of it, right? I think recently we got like a little trailer or something, or a little tweet saying that it's coming soon. Well, what is soon Tell me soon, because I want to know when I can play 12 minutes. That was like my most anticipated game.
That would be pretty dope if they dropped it at E3.
Yeah, dude, I would be so happy. Like, I would leave the show and start downloading it and playing it. Probably, I wouldn't do that. But no, I think that there is plenty of stuff that they have that they can show us. Maybe they may give us a glimpse into the future, kind of like what Pong was saying toward, in one segment of the show. I think you mentioned how Lord Cognito said something along the lines of there's 5 brand new IP that we've never seen before that could be being shown. I would imagine that type of stuff is probably further out than sooner, but then again, I could be wrong. I think that we're going to have a lot of games showed, right? I like to temper my expectations. I don't want to, say crazy outlandish things of what I would, necessarily, maybe even want to see, but overall, I think Xbox has plenty of ammunition in their guns to blow us all out for this E3. And regardless of what type of gamers watching, what types of games they like to play, what demographic they fall in, I think that there's easily going to be at least one thing that makes every single gamer like super excited and very, very hyped and just constantly, looking for more information about at least one game. I think they're going to have one game that really, really resonates with every gamer that watches at the bare minimum. And if they accomplish that, for me personally, then I'll be happy regardless, right? So long as they hit me with that one game, that one new game that I didn't know about, that really resonates with me as a player, I'll be happy nonetheless.
I mean, that's what we all want, right? We all want to walk away from this very happy. I think we're going to. What I want to see the most personally is for 343 to finally get that sigh of relief.
Yeah, you want redemption.
Yeah, I do. I want redemption for them in the biggest way possible, simply because, man, look, I'm not going to say that I've been the hardest on them. I've actually really appreciated what they've done. I talk about Halo 4 all the time. My Halo 5, my opinion is clear as glass. I did not like the story at all, but of course you give them credit for the work that they did in the graphics department. And I think that, the ups and downs that we have seen with 343 since taking over for Bungie, I think that this is going to be Halo Infinite is going to be the combination or the combination, I should say, of failures, understanding your failures and using your wins to your advantage. And that's the thing that we can say. I can say wholeheartedly about 343 is that they've never made a bad graphical game. And I think that was one of the biggest complaints with many gamers during the July showing. And I just want to see them win one. I really do. And I think they're going to. And I think that Halo is going to come back in a big way. But Josh, let's get your opinion on this. This is going to be a monster show for a lot of reasons, right? Obviously, I always look forward to the Halo, to the Microsoft event because it's the Microsoft event. But now that we have a dual event confirmed by Matt Booty himself, there's a lot of, you've heard everyone on the panel so far talk about, their expectations on how long a show is going to be. Is it going to be a 3-hour show? I think it should be, especially if they have a lot to show. Where do you fall on length of show, and what are you expecting both of these companies to bring to the table?
Yeah, 3 hours would be great. Honestly, I think the content's there. I assume that they've got the games just locked and loaded, and 3 hours. Let's go. I'm with you guys. We could go 5 hours. I'm all about it. I just want to hear about the games, and I think that's most Xbox fans at this point. We just want to see. This is the E3 that Xbox needs to prove to the consumer that purchased the Xbox why they purchased the Xbox. And Game Pass is one thing. It's amazing, don't get me wrong, but this is their time to shine, and I think they're really going to do it.
Yeah.
This is where they need to, speaking of 343, they've had that extra year. Let's have a beta drop for multiplayer.
Someone said that on last night's show. That would be the mic drop moment for the show. Hey, listen, right now, go play Halo Infinite beta multiplayer.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, without having to buy Crackdown. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Hey now.
Oh God.
Crackdown was fine.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, there's so much. It's been 2 years since we've heard anything about the new Elder Scrolls, right? So is there any kind of tease that we could get from Bethesda there? Right. I assume it's still going to be a ways out before we.
I don't think so, man.
And everybody says that. I'm like, does nobody have any hope?
Well, because Starfield's their next thing, right? Like, I don't know, man. I don't think we're going to see anything Elder Scrolls.
I agree.
I hope.
I
hope we do.
I don't think we would. To be honest with you, I think this is all going to be about Starfield. I mean, even jokingly, Todd Howard had said this game has been talked about more time. He actually said it. This game has been in the voice boxes of gamers and of course the gaming media, and no one knows what this game is. Like it's crazy that it's because it's a new IP from Todd Howard, his baby, as a matter of fact. Praise his name, I suppose. Let me get in on the conversation, but yeah, please, by all means, continue, Josh.
Yeah, so there's like 24 some odd studios, right? Like, how do they fit announcements from all these studios in 3 hours, even, unless it's like, just and we want them to all have their time to shine. And I think it's going to be, I honestly think it's going to be a great presentation for getting the details that we've been wanting for Halo, for Starfield, Forza 5 Horizons 5 we can see, it in action, and then new IP plus the 20th anniversary, like we talked about earlier. Like, I really think the show's probably going to start with a look back over the last 20 years, and I'm curious if during that look back, if we don't see hints at some of the stuff they'll show us, if we see a Crimson Skies. You guys were talking about Splinter Cell. My first Xbox came with Splinter Cell and Mech Assault. That was it was the dual pack like that launched. And so Splinter Cell definitely is at home on the Xbox, and man, like you said, if we hear that sound, like I'm all about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, who's to say if that's going to happen or not? But that would be pretty ridiculous. I mean, listen, I tell you what's ridiculous. And again, I don't want to go into a Splinter Cell tangent. How did Sam Fisher miss out on an entire generation? I have no idea, folks. I literally have no idea how that was possible. But I mean, listen, there's something going on with Ubisoft and Microsoft. I'm not saying they're going to buy them. That would be the ultimate kick in the balls for the industry, for sure. I don't think that's possible. But listen, if you would have asked me flat out Bethesda, I'd have told you, yeah, you're out of your freaking mind. And look where we are today. So who knows? But man, to get a Splinter Cell exclusive, wow. Right. And I don't care if it's a timed exclusive. Pull a Sony. Yeah, it's locked up for 2 years. Tough titty. In the words of the great Richard Pryor. Tough titty. That's it. End of story, right? So listen, folks, we're rolling, and everyone has had a fantastic points. I do want to move on to one of course, you see playing on the screen. I think we're coming to an end with that one. That's almost done. I gotta talk about Forza again because listen, Forza Horizon 5 is upon us. I think we're going to get a big blowout at E3. I think we're going to see what they've been up to. I think it's going to really showcase the power of the Xbox Series X and of course the S. Listen, Playground Games knows what they're doing. Turn 10 Studios, who makes motorsport, knows what they're doing. As a matter of fact, I would even dare say that they're so good at their craft there's a reason why Gran Turismo doesn't have a current edition, why it was delayed, because it was whatever they were working on was not up to the par of what we're going to get with both Forza Horizon 5, which is going to be releasing this year, according to Jeff Grubb and many other industry insiders. And of course, Motorsport, whenever that releases, who knows, that's next year or the year after, whatever. I think that we get one this year, one next year, and they continue their, splitting time with, 2 years between each release for each team. But I got to talk about some exciting news. And of course, this comes off of the rumor mill, so take it with a grain of salt. But Hot Wheels is reportedly planning a Forza Horizon collaboration this year. Now, obviously, from the footage that you see, still is one of my favorite Forzas of all time, and that is Forza Horizon 3. They of course had the collaboration with the Winter Mountain, which was dope, but they also had literally the best DLC in the history of DLC, at least in my opinion, and that is the Hot Wheels track. Now, where do I get this information from? Well, according to some Hot Wheels publication called T Hunted, which claims his new models were released this September and included a Mercedes-Benz Class A, a Corvette C7, a C7R, and a Porsche 911. Well, these cars have the Forza Horizon branding on the packaging. Now, of course, while the new merchandise isn't necessarily indicative of new game releasing, it has been reported that Horizon obviously will be in Mexico, but there are heavy rumors hinting that a new Hot Wheels DLC will also be announced at potentially E3. And all I can say is yes, please, because again, if you are someone who played with cars, if someone you appreciated Hot Wheels, and I had both, I had Matchbox and Hot Wheels, but Hot Wheels was the cool cars to get. Those orange tracks still resonate with me, even as a near 51-year-old guy. I mean, like when I'm driving on those tracks as a gamer and I'm playing Forza Horizon 3, the game is old as dirt, right? But seeing the dinosaur, I had that set as a kid, and to be playing it on your Xbox, it's incredible. Zemi, I gotta go to you first on this.
Let's go to Pong first, because he has to leave here in like 10 minutes.
Okay, you know what? Yeah. Pong, let's get your opinion on this. Where do you fall on potential another collab between Hot Wheels and Xbox's Premier Racer?
Oh, it's one of the best collaborations in video game history, I think. Personally, it fits so well together. It's stunning what they were able to pull off. Excuse me, in Horizon 3, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with this. Like you said, Boom. I mean, again, this is my childhood too, Boom. I know we got a few years between us, but man, Hot Wheels was everything back in the day. And to see those orange tracks, I mean, again, just Christmas opening up the boxes and seeing you got a new Hot Wheels set.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man, going through the Sears Christmas catalog.
The 10-pack of cars.
Oh yes.
Dude,
oh yes.
man.
It was like the best Christmas ever. Those went in the stocking stuffers. You open up the stocking stuffers, man, and you'd have Hot Wheels in there. Oh man, it was fantastic. So yeah, what they pulled off to translate it into Horizon is one of a kind. It really is. When you see it, it's like you're living. It's like you've been miniaturized, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids style down into your old play sets. And even for the people who may not have been part of our generation or a couple generations after that, they got to experience Hot Wheels, it somehow creates a childhood sense of joy when you see it. And to do the loop-de-loops and do all that kind of stuff in a car, it just doesn't get any better than that. So to know that they're going to go back to it, to potentially, again, we don't know for sure, but what an expansion to have ready. I'm going to be interesting to see if they're going to offer it for Horizon 4 people, and then obviously make it available if Forza Horizon 5 is ready to rock and roll this fall, like we assume it is in Mexico. It'd be interesting to see if they offer it to both places, because I think this is a type of expansion that you can put out there for as many people as possible to get their hands on. And I think it would be a great kind of segue during E3, to launch this, and then to say, by the way, it's going to be available for Forza Horizon 4, right after the show, or, next month, or whatever the case may be. And then, oh, by the way, let's talk about the next Forza Horizon. We're going to Mexico, right? And it would just be a great, it would be, oh man, you already get people hyped, because again, I think for the most part, the majority of people believe that the Hot Wheels expansion was one of the best expansions ever done for Horizon. I think that's pretty much hands down at this point. So to reignite that again, remember how excited we were when we started hearing about it earlier in the year? Like, I think it was around early January, February, when there was rumors that they were going to have another Hot Wheels expansion. It turned out to be a nothing burger. I think that this would just reignite that flame again. But yeah, I'm so hyped for it. Boom. I hope this comes true, and I hope we get to see something new out of this.
Well, listen, brother, let's get you on out of here, because you got to bounce. Obviously, real life work calls.
Yeah, real life sucks.
Yeah, it certainly does. Tell everyone about what you got going on Saturdays with with Steel Rain, and of course, what you do over on Mav's channel, and what else you got going on before you get on out of here.
Absolutely fantastic show again. N64 Josh, it was great to be on the show with you, sir. I love your opinions and love your thoughts, man. And again, great to be here. Zemi, best ever as always, sir. Despite you wanting to cut down on the hype, I still love you, brother. So great to be here with you as always. And obviously, Boom, thank you again. Love this show, and I love being here with you guys. Sorry, I got to bounce early. You guys can find me everywhere Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate with Fun Speculation, aka Mav, his wife Caitlin, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven. Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Great show. Come check us out. Mav has been doing incredible job over there, growing. Him and Caitlin just have a sweet channel going over there. Really fun time. So come check us out there. Saturday mornings, like Boom was just talking about, myself, Steel Rain, we are living split screen being all one word. We wake you up in the mornings with talk across the entire industry, rants about all sorts of stuff that we have on our minds. We let it all go. Him and I go for 2+ hours. We get the chat involved. We've been doing giveaways. It's just a great time over there. Living split screen, 9 a.m. Central Time, or 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. UK time. And you can catch Steel Rain and myself tonight on Gaming After Dark with Noof Nukem and Titan Drago. Middle-aged game guy is not going to be there tonight, so Noof, hit us up, and we are both going to be there. So Living Split Screen is invading Gaming After Dark tonight. So check us out there. And then otherwise, Saturday nights, the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Centurion, Fuzzy Belvedere, and Stagorilla, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central Time. Again, short show. Fun times over there. Great panel, great group of guys. PTK is just amazing. Come check us out there. But thank you all. Chat, you guys are amazing. And I can't wait to talk to you next week. And thanks again, Boom. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
Thank you very much.
Zemi Games. Let's get your opinion on this. Listen, there are few DLCs that come along that are considered to be legendary. And for me personally, the Forza Horizon 3, I was going to say Matchbox, Hot Wheels combination, because personally it resonates with me, but I think that it just really brings out the child in anyone that plays that, especially if you have, memories of playing with cars as a kid. Hearing that, obviously we have news that Hot Wheels actually has their own game coming out. I don't know how good the game is going to be. I definitely have it already pre-ordered, if you can believe it, but you shouldn't be surprised by that. But to hear that we might be getting a Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels combination DLC or some sort of collaboration has me through the roof excited. But where do you fall on this? Are you a big Forza player?
Yeah, I like Forza. I dabble in it. I'm not a die-hard Forza fan. It's not something that I'm gonna play, years going on years like I am other games, but I do like Forza. Out of the series, my favorite ones are Forza Motorsports. I like, I kind of like the arcadiness of Horizon, but in the open world kind of aspect as well, but I really like all the details that they put into the Motorsport series that just aren't in the Horizon series, and all they just go more in depth of editing your car and tuning your car and stuff in the Motorsport series, and that's just why I think I like that game more. But overall, I like Forza. Whenever I saw this Hot Wheel thing, the first thing I thought about was, honestly, it was like, well, dang, I'm gonna have to shave my beard because it looks like maybe Forza Horizon 5 is going to be the next game. But then I started thinking about it more and more and more, and I definitely think that this is more indicative of them coming out with a Hot Wheels expansion than anything else, right? So I think my beard is safe still. I really don't want to shave it off, boom, because if I do, I shave my head, I'm gonna look like a eunuch. I'm gonna look like Varys from Game of Thrones. It's not gonna be pretty. And so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Motorsports is gonna be the next actual Forza game, and I hope it is because I love my beard. But no, I think that this is 100% gonna be an expansion, but how crazy would it be if it was actually a standalone game? If it was like Forza Horizon Hot Wheels and it was like a standalone game that was released, that would be terrible. I mean, it would be great for the fans, but it'd be terrible for me because that would still mean I'd have to shave off my beard, which I don't want to do. But
that beard's coming. That beard's gone, brother. I'm telling you right now. That beard is gone.
What deal was made with your poor beard?
It was probably a year or two ago. We were talking about the next Forza game, and I put my beard on the line that it was going to be Forza Motorsports, and I said that if it was not Forza Motorsports, if that wasn't the next Forza game that was released, then I would shave my beard. And it was a mistake. I should have never made, that bet. I lose a lot, and I really hope I don't lose out on this bet. I really hope it's Motorsports because I don't want to lose my beard.
I will personally send you a very, very sharp razor and the shaving cream to take that beard off because, folks, I hate to say it, it's coming off. Sorry.
I hope it. I hope you're wrong. But no, I used to play with Hot Wheels a little bit whenever I was a kid. I'd be lying if I said it was my favorite toy of all time. But I did enjoy, playing with them and stuff. And I don't have like this emotional connection to it. But I think it would be cool to jump back into Forza Horizon 4, not 5, but 4. For a Hot Wheels expansion, drive around some tracks, see what they can do with it. I enjoyed playing around. I think it was like they did a Minecraft version of it, and I thought that was pretty fun. And it's just more content for gamers, and announcing that at this E3, I think would be fantastic. But it also makes me question, would they be announcing a new Forza Horizon expansion while also announcing a Forza Motorsport game? It's an E3 show.
That's a fantastic question. But you know what? What I have heard behind the scenes, I haven't really talked about it because I don't really have it. Like it didn't come from one of my few sources that I have for the channel. And we have heard that Forza is going to be like a hub for past and present games.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if it turns out that you'll be able to be playing a new Forza Motorsport 5, and it's a hub area where you can go back into potentially Forza Horizon 4, then it's worth doing the expansion, because the people from both sides of the coin are going to be able to do that. Maybe they can add something to Forza Horizon 4 that adds the hub. I don't know,
sure.
but again, this is speculation because there's not confirmation. It is a rumor simply because of the toys, and usually when the toys come out, they have to be done. They have to get approval months and months, and potentially even a year before the actual product releases, so they can get the toys out there. And these are Forza Horizon branded. So it's interesting. Could it be Forza Horizon 4? Sure. But I don't see an issue giving people that maybe can't play Forza Horizon 5, the ability to play a new DLC. I don't know. It's an interesting thought though, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's also interesting is I don't remember the journalist, but we covered it on the show a while ago, and there was it might have been Jeff Grubb, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
He was mentioning that his sources were telling him that the next Forza game was going to be a Horizon, but maybe the sources can kind of somewhat get confusing. Maybe what he heard was this DLC for Hot Wheels for Forza Horizon 4, right? So maybe my beard is still safe. Is what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, it could very well be. I just hope it has to come off. That's just my, we're friends and everything, but I want to see you shave the beard. I'm just saying. I'm just a prick. I know. Josh, let's get your opinion on this. Where does a Hot Wheels fall for you personally? And are you hoping to see another collaboration between Hot Wheels and Forza for Forza 5 that's supposed to release this year?
So as a kid, of course, I grew up with Hot Wheels. What was kind of cool is my parents and I moved into what was my grandparents' house, and they left 2 toy boxes. And in those toy boxes were the Hot Wheels tracks that my dad and my uncles and my aunt played with. And so it was kind of like my mom didn't like me getting into those typically, but like that was the one thing I was allowed to pull out was all the orange track. And I would have what felt like miles as a kid of track for Hot Wheels, and I loved it. I mean, getting them to race, and then of course you'd get the sets that had like the battery operated chutes and things like
the
that.
launchers,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were great. And even now, I'm looking at a large collection of Mario Kart Hot Wheels, right? And very similar to Lego, these companies that were traditionally toy companies transitioned into gaming in order to keep their brand relevant and alive and moving forward. I love, like, when the DLC dropped for 3, it was during I wasn't even playing much Xbox, but that was so much fun. We had family come stay with us. We just passed the controller around doing the Hot Wheels tracks. Like,
that's cool, dude. Yeah,
it was such a great time. And so when I saw, to be honest, when I saw that 4 was Lego, I was like, it's cool, but it's not Hot Wheels.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And so as much as I don't want to see any beard shaved, I do hope
Thank you
that this is the year for 5, and that there is that collaboration with Hot. It makes so much sense. And yeah, I remember when I like doing the loop to loops and stuff the first time in 3, and I was just like, man, they really nailed this. Like, this is just a perfect collab. And so I want to see a lot more.
Bye, beard. Sorry. I'm
gonna look so bad if I shave it.
Well, you know what?
I won't be able to go out in the public.
I'll say this, Sammy, before we get into the outros and we close out today's amazing show. This is going to be a learning experience for you that you should never bet.
Gambling is wrong, kids. Right now, let me just tell you, okay? If any children are watching, don't gamble. Don't make bets. It never turns out very well for you.
It never does, and you always lose. You always lose, folks. You always lose. Listen, folks, this has been a great show. A lot of fun, a lot of big topics. And one of the topics we were going to talk about that we just didn't get around to talking about, I'm going to just pass it forward to the Thursday show, is talking about the newest interview with Tim Schafer, talking about Psychonauts 2. We got some gameplay, which looks absolutely phenomenal. That obviously is coming into Game Pass day 1. Unfortunately, we don't have a release date as of yet. And with Ratchet and Clank dropping on June 11th, I don't see this game shadow dropping at E3, because obviously Ratchet and Clank is going to be a big game for Sony, and I don't want to see, and I don't think Microsoft wants to see something as important. And I because I love platformers, I think that Psychonauts 2 is an important piece to what Microsoft is going to do now that they own Double Fine, and you don't want to have that drowned out by Ratchet and Clank, releasing. And I'm not saying that Ratchet and Clank is better or worse, and Psychonauts doesn't stand a chance. It's just two platformers of that size to drop side by side is a mistake, and I think we might get that closer to the fall. But let's get to the outros. And obviously you heard Pong Soul, who had to leave. He had to handle some real life work stuff. But Zemi Games, do me a favor, brother, tell everyone about where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, where could people check out not only the Constant Gamer but your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so Constant Gamer, I'm pretty much the owner of Constant Gamer. We have a YouTube channel where we post all sorts of gaming content, let's plays, gaming news, reviews, just all sorts of different things. We also do a lot of tutorials. So if you have any issues doing something on your Xbox, like installing a game, canceling a subscription, whatever you may have a problem with, definitely go to the Constant Gamer YouTube channel, check out some of our video tutorials and all sorts of different stuff. We also have a website where we post gaming news onto that. And then if you guys want to follow us on social media, you can follow Constant Gamer on social media using @ConstantGamers with an S. It was weird. It wouldn't let me just do Constant Gamer. So there's an S at the end of it. Then you can also follow my personal Twitter account. It is @ZimmyGames. Boom, this show has been absolutely fantastic. As always, I really enjoy these topics. I actually, going into the show, I was like, yeah, I don't know if they're as good as last week's, but they were really, really good. After really talking and hearing everyone's opinions, these topics were fantastic. Another amazing show, Boom. Can't wait.
Oh, thanks, so, dude. And obviously, having you a part of this program is the highlight of my week as well, because obviously you jumped from Breakfast with Boom to the Xbox Factor, and then obviously you had to make the transition from the Thursday to the Tuesday show. And it's great working with you every week. You always bring it 100%. And of course, I feel terrible that you're going to lose your beard, but these are the things. This is what happens.
Don't gamble, children.
Don't
children,
gamble.
Do not gamble.
Don't gamble.
And if you do, I'm not saying that you should, but if you do, just don't do any of my bets. Okay.
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
see Zimmy doing a bet, do the opposite thing and you're going to win.
But what if I was able to acquire a God Howard signature, an autograph? Would that make the shaving beard better?
Oh man, I would shave whatever you wanted me to shave. Let me just tell you. Yeah, please.
Oh
is that a possibility?
Listen, I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying that maybe that could potentially happen someday.
You know what I've been thinking about? So I have the anniversary edition of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I think they made like 1,000 versions of it or something. I don't remember how many they made, but it's like in this steel metal case.
Yes.
And next time E3 is available, I'm going to try to go, and I really hope I see Todd Howard because I want to get his autograph.
He's good with the fans. He's good with the fans.
Amazing.
Yeah, that he's. Yeah, that would definitely be cool. But N64 Josh, let's get you on out of here, brother. First of all, thanks for guest appearing on the Xbox Factor podcast. We love the information and, of course, the energy you bring with you. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, tell them about your live streams and your other content that people can tune into.
Boom. Thank you so much for having me. I always, every time I see the Twitter message pop up that you're like, hey, I need somebody, I'm like, oh, I love it. I love it. So thank you. Thank you so much for the invite and the chance to hang out with you guys. So it's been great. You guys can find me everywhere at N64Josh. And then I've recently started the Xbox Now YouTube and XboxNow.tv website. So it's Xbox news and talking points. It's just in the early phases. 8 a.m. Wednesday mornings. That's 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We're doing the Xbox Now podcast. And then I'm also sprinkling in other episodes throughout the week, just where I interview different people in the Xbox community. We had Mav on the other day just talking about Halo. Boom, you joined me for one of the early shows.
Yes.
And so it's a lot of fun. It's very just conversation. I love doing podcasts that are just pretty much like not necessarily a lot of show notes involved. The news show is, but most of my shows are like, hey, let's just hang out and chat, and have some good conversations. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, dude, it was great to work with you again. We look forward to having you back on the show for sure. And of course, everyone, before you get on out of here, I would honestly, truly appreciate that if you did in fact enjoy this. Not only would I, politely ask that you hit the like button, but I would also really appreciate you sharing this on social media, any kind of socials that you spend time on, to get more people, to not only subscribe to the channel because obviously we're having the 10K giveaway. But we want more people to find an Xbox show that not only is produced professionally. We try not to curse, little ones here and there, no big deal. But we have fun. And I think that it really does get lost in the console war shenanigans that goes on a weekly basis that we unfortunately see on social media. And I would love to get more people to, feel comfortable tuning into this show that is a positive show. Again, we give Microsoft the business when they need it, but for the most part, we talk positively about the brand that we all love and enjoy on a daily basis. But I'm going to close out today's show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And I think now more than ever, it's super important. He said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you this Thursday on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.